Vasudevaya Priyaya Kesavasya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Sacha Vachai Namo Namaha. Jai Tulsi Maharani ki Jai. Listen. Gopijana Ballabha Ba Jaya Giri Varare Jaya Giri Varare Gopijana Ballabha Jaya Giri Varare Jaya Giri Varare Soda Sa Paravidikacharya, also Tera Sutashi Shimad, His Divine Grace, Abhaya Chananad Bhaktivedanta Goswami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anandagoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Hridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna, Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha, Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopikavana Sayam Kunda, Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Maturanam Ki Jai, Jagannath Swami Ki Jai, Imanamai Ki Jai, Shrimati Lasidevi Ki Jai, Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Go. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschatateja Attorney. So Om Gana Timidanda Shah Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshun Meditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to continue with our study of the Sri Caitanya Caritamrta, which we're doing every day online and in person. You can hear us back there?
Yes.
Okay, clearly. Okay. And yesterday we just heard about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu getting upset with Sanatana Goswami, who was considering committing suicide. And the reason he was considering committing suicide is because he had all these sores and pus. Terrible, isn't it? Coming out of his body, and Lord Chaitanya was embracing him, and he couldn't go near the temple, and he thought his life was just useless, and he was so humble, thinking about his past life where he worked for the Muslim government, and so therefore he thought, that's it. And he was going to jump under the cart of Lord Jagannath, under the wheel of the cart. So that's a traditional way, of course, is not approved. You don't go back to Godhead. It's actually sinful to do that. It's sinful to actually jump under Lord Jagannath's cart and get killed in such a way. Lord Jagannath's not a killer. He doesn't kill devotees. So anyway, Lord Chaitanya chastised them and said, actually, if I thought I could attain Krishna's mercy by giving up this body, I'd be prepared to give up millions of bodies. And then, of course, the gopis, when Krishna left Vrindavan, they were feeling like that too, but they didn't actually commit suicide. Krishna left Vrindavan. Actually, it was about 100 years later, about 115 years later, they met Krishna in Kurukshetra. And they were still there. They were living without him. Even they couldn't eat because they were feeling so much separation, but still Krishna maintained their life heirs. Anyway, so let's get back to the Caitanya Caritamrta. And this is the story of Sanatana Goswami's interactions with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we're doing this online too, so there's a lot of people watching. So, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Okay, text 72. And we'll just read and comment. Etashuni sanatanera haila chamatkara prabhure nabhayamora marane vichara. After hearing this, Sanatana Goswami was exceedingly astonished. He could understand my decision to commit suicide has not been greatly appreciated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And nobody told Lord Chaitanya that he was planning to commit suicide, but Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was the super soul, understood. Sarvagya Mahaprabhu Nishedila Mure Prabhura Charanasare Gahena Tan Hare. Sanatana Goswami continued, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who knows everything, past, present, and future, has forbidden me to commit suicide. He then fell down, touching the lotus feet of the Lord, and spoke to him as follows. Sarvajna kripalu tumi Ishvara swatantra Yaiche na chao taiche Nachiyena kashtayantra. My Lord, you are the omniscient, merciful, independent, supreme Lord. Exactly like an instrument of wood, I dance as you make me do so. That's a devotee's attitude. Nityadama pamaran muni pamara swabhava more joyle tomara kiva kabe labha. I am low-born. Indeed, I am the lowest. I am condemned, for I have all the characteristics of a sinful man. If you keep me alive, what will be the profit? Prabhu kahe tumhara deha mora nijatana tumi more kariyacha atma samarpana. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, your body is my property. You have already surrendered unto me. Therefore, you no longer have any claim to your body. That's a very important point. That when a devotee surrenders to Krishna, takes initiation, and he admits, Krishna already owns everything, isn't it? Krishna's the owner. Ishvara apasham idam sarvam yatkinja jagatam jagat tentriktena punjita madgurtha kasasvidanam. Krishna's the owner of everything, but he admits it and says, Krishna, from this day forward, I'm yours. I'm your property. Who's willing to do that? Keshav? No, not yet. Not going to ask anyone else. But that's actually sannyas. That's what sannyas means, that, from this day forward, whatever you want. Crush me by your embrace, leave me brokenhearted by not being present before me. You're completely free to do anything and everything. Parera dravya tumi kene chaha vinashite dharma vichara kiva napara karite. Why should you want to destroy another's property? Can't you consider what is right and wrong? This is also another point about who this body belongs to. Now, nowadays, of course, there's this whole controversy. It's not even a controversy anymore, about abortion. And it's my body. I can do anything I want with it. No, actually, even according to the law, you can't do anything you want with your body. If you take your body and walk around naked, you get arrested, won't you? At least here in Sydney. Some places in Scandinavian countries, you won't get arrested. It's completely illegal. But here, so in other words, you can't do anything you want with your body. It's not, even according to the ordinary law of society, you don't have an absolute right to do anything you want with your body. So, as far as abortion is concerned, people say, well, it's my body. Well, it's not your body, it's Krishna. Krishna owns the body. He's the owner. And it's not your right. Yeah, Krishna's given certain rules. What you can do, what you can't do with your body. And one of the rules, you can't commit suicide. Another rule is you can't have an abortion. So that's the point. It belongs to Krishna. Tomara sharire mora pradhana sadhana he sharire sadimu ami bahu prayojana. Your body is my principal instrument for executing many necessary functions. By your body I shall carry out many tasks, because Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, and the other Goswamis had the task of excavating all the holy places in Vrindavan and building temples and Nana Shastra Vicharana Kanipano, Sadharma Samstapako, of establishing eternal religious principles by reading all the authorized literatures. So, if he committed suicide, the whole mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would basically have had trouble. Because in order to have a mission, you have to have succession. Just like in ISKCON right now, we're talking about succession. You know, there's a lot of old people on the GBC, including me. And then we're thinking, who's going to take over? And the old people are just trying to hold on to power as long as possible, like me. Oh. It's like you see something. Whoops. You're watching me. Anyway, it's like
No, because I want to see the reading, but YouTube and Facebook is very slow.
but you have to turn the volume down so you.
I did, but I don't know what happened. I went on Zoom.
All right, let's continue.
Sorry.
That's all right. So, Bhakta Bhakti Krishna Prema Tatvera Nirhadara Vaishnavera Kritya Hara Vaishnava Achara. You have to ascertain the basic principles of a devotee, devotional service, love of Godhead, Vaishnava duties, and Vaishnava characteristics. So this is very, very important because he was the Acharya of Sambandha Gyan, which means basically understanding the tattvas and their relationship with each other. In other words, what's a jiva soul, what's God, what's the material energy, what's the spiritual energy, etc., like that. So, so it's actually very, very important to carry it. And actually, he wrote books because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't write anything. Basically, he didn't leave us with anything except for the Shikshashtaka. You know, his direct writings. Everything else is like secondhand information that Raghunath Das Goswami saw or Sanatana Goswami saw and then was later related to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So as far as first-hand information, I mean, the direct writing of Lord Chaitanya, all we have is Shikshashtaka. Okay. Maybe we should have Mangal Arti at 10 o'clock. People will come on time. Krishna Bhakta Krishna Prema Seva Pravaratana Lupta Tirtha Uttara Ara Vairaga Sikshana. You also have to explain Krishna's devotional service, establish centers for the cultivation of love of Krishna, excavate lost places of pilgrimage, and teach people how to adopt the renounced order. So there's a lot of things you got to do, so you don't have a right to commit suicide. And yeah, I was thinking about that, you know, that a lot of things I have to do, and I just like to go to Govardhan and say goodbye, everybody. Just enjoy life. Just, hey Radhe, Braja Devake, hey Andushino Gutta. And like, it's interesting in the Mahabharata, when Vidura renounced this world and went to the forest, he actually put stones in his mouth. Did you know this? No. So he couldn't speak. Nonsense. Of course, we have to chant. We can't do that. But sometimes they do that. Sometimes as an austerity, they'll either seal their mouth shut, and if they know they can't keep from speaking, they'll just put stones in the mouth. And Vidura did that, just to be absorbed in Krishna. Of course, in that age, Krishnanam Sankirtan was not the Yuga Dharma. Nija Priya Stanamora Mathura Vrindavana Tahane Dharma Chahi Karite Pacharana. Mathura Vrindavan is my own very dear abode. I want to do so many things there to preach Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada explains that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to accomplish many purposes through the exegetical endeavors of Srila Sanatana Goswami. First, Sanatana Goswami compiled a book called the Brihad Bhagavatamrita to teach people how to become devotees, execute devotional service, and attain love of Krishna. Secondly, he compiled the Hri Bhakti Vilasa, wherein he collected authoritative scriptural injunctions regarding how a Vaishnava should behave. Only by the endeavors of Srila Sanatana Goswami were all the lost places of pilgrimage in the Vrindavan area excavated. He established Madan Mohan, the first deity in the Vrindavan area, and by his personal behavior, he taught how one should act in the renounced order, completely devoted to the service of the Lord. By his personal example, he taught people how to stay in Vrindavan to execute devotional service. The principal mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to preach Krishna consciousness. Mathura and Vrindavan are the abodes of Lord Krishna. Therefore, these two places are very dear to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he wanted to develop their glories through Sanatana Goswami. Very, very important. Matara Jnaya Ami Vasinila Chile Tahan Dharma Sikaite Nahi Nija Bale. By the order of my mother, I am sitting here in Jagannath Puri. Therefore, I cannot go to Mathura Vrindavan to teach people how to live there according to religious principles. So actually, in the beginning of the Caitanya Caritamrta, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had to get permission from his mother. Pretty good. So it shows even if you're a sannyasi, you got to get permission from your mother. That's really important. Actually, it's really important, Keshav.
I always get permission from my mom. Every time I do something, I always ask my mom.
That's good.
Yes.
Eta sabha karma ami yedehe karimu daha chadaite chahatumi kemane sahimu. I have to do all this work through your body, but you want to give it up. How can I tolerate this? Tabe sanatana kaye tomake namaskare tomara gambira hridaya ke ushite pare. At that time, Sanatana Goswami said to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. No one can understand the deep ideas that you plan within your heart. Kashtera putaleyena kuhake nachaya apane nachane putale kiva nache gaya. A wooden doll chants and dances according to the direction of a magician, but does not know how he is dancing and singing. Yare yache nachao se taiche kare nartana natane kache nache keva nachaya aseha nahi jane. My dear Lord, as you cause one to dance, he dances accordingly. But how he dances and who is causing him to dance, he does not know. Wow. So Krishna's controlling you. Haridase kahi prabhu shuna haridasa parera dravya inho chahena karite vinasha. Oh, someone asked me a question here. Did your mother give you permission to take sannyas? Hey, that's Pran Govinda. He's just being a rascal. No. I did everything against my mother's permission. But that's transcendental.
So I did ask my mom everything.
Don't imitate me. That'd be really bad.
He's rubbing it in, Buddha.
Yeah. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then said to Haridas Thakur, my dear Haridas, please hear me. This gentleman wants to destroy another's property. So in other words, destroying your body or hurting your body is actually demoniac, according to Krishna in the Gita too. One who goes austerities. Prabhupada specifically mentioned the austerity of someone fasting for political purposes. I'm not going to mention who that refers to because it would offend a lot of people. But Prabhupada mentions that's demoniac to fast for political purposes. So this body belongs to Krishna, so you got to take care of it. If you neglect it, then you're neglecting Krishna's property. Parera, just like I make so much endeavor to take care of the body, exercise every day. I eat a diet that most of you could never even think of. Because my main responsibility, is not just taking care of the body. My main responsibility is to preach, and in order to do that, I got to keep the body going. It's like a car, you got to change the oil every once in a while. But devotees sometimes, they don't even understand you have to change the oil because they think the car, is transcendental. I remember one time I was driving with one of my disciples who's watching in class right now, and the gauge said empty, and I said, "Shouldn't we get some gas?" He said, "No, we have so many miles we can go." People say that all the time. He said, "No, Krishna will take care of us." And so Krishna took care of us. So we right in the middle of the motorway. So we basically, put, off the road. And I said, "What are you going to do?" He says, "Well, we need to get some gasoline." I said, "I know." So because I could walk faster, I said, "You stay in the car and I'll get the gasoline." So, so you got to take care of things in this world. Prabhupada himself spent hours a day getting a massage for his health. His morning walk he took on a regular basis, and every day, at noon, before lunch, he took a massage, and before going to rest at night, he would take a massage. And sometimes it was hours that Shrutakirti or the other assistant had to massage Prabhupada. That was for Prabhupada's health. Parera stapya dravya keha nakaya vilaya. Oops, I skipped ahead. Nishedila hinhareyena nakare anyaya. One who is entrusted with another's property but does not distribute it or use it for his own purposes. Therefore, tell him not to do such an unlawful thing. So Lord Chaitanya is chastising Sanatana Goswami through Haridas Thakur. Harirasa kahe mricha abhimana kari tamara gambira hridaya bhunjite napari. Haridas Thakur replied, "We are falsely proud of our capabilities. Actually, we cannot understand your deep intentions. Kon kon karya tumi karakon tvare tumi na janaile keha janite na pare." Unless you inform us, we cannot understand what your purpose is or what you want to do through whom. Etadushi tumi inhare kariyache angikara eta sobhagya hihan nahaya kahara. My dear sir, since you, a great personality, have accepted Sanatana Goswami, he is greatly fortunate. No one can be as fortunate as he. Tabi Mahaprabhu kare dunhare alingana majana karite uti karilagamana. Thus Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu embraced both Haridas Thakur and Sanatana Goswami, and then got up and left to perform his noon duties. Sanatane kahe Haridasa kari alingana tamara vagyera simha layaya katana. My dear Sanatana, Haridas Thakur said, embracing him, no one can find the limits of your good fortunes. You find so much love between the Vaishnavas. You hear about this. They're always embracing each other and happy to see each other. Lord Chaitanya is doing that. Imagine getting embraced by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That would be pretty good. Tomara deha kahena prabhu mora nija danha. Toma sama bhagyavan. Yeah. Nahi kona jana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has accepted your body as his own property, therefore no one can equal you in good fortune. Nija deha ye karya naparena karite se karya karayeve toma seha maturate. What Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cannot do with his personal body, he wants to do through you, and he wants to do it in Mathura. Ye karayate chahishvara se siddhaya tomara sopagyahe kahilun nischaya. Whatever the Supreme Personality of Godhead wants us to do will successfully be accomplished. This is your great fortune. That is my mature opinion. Bhakti siddhanta shastra achara nirnaya tomadvare karai vena mushilun ashaya. I can understand from the words of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he wants you to write books about the conclusive decision of devotional service and about the regulated principles ascertained from the revealed scriptures. Amare deha prabhura karya nagila na lagila bharata bhumate janmi e deha vyarta haila. My body could not be used in the service of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's Haridas Thakur speaking, of course. Therefore, although it took birth in the land of India, this body has been useless. And Prabhupada said, for further explanation of the importance of Bharata Bhumi, one may refer to the Adi Lila 941 and also Srimad Bhagavatam 5:19, 19 to 27. The special feature of a birth in India is that a person born in India becomes automatically God conscious. In every part of India, and especially in the holy places of pilgrimage, even an ordinary educated man is inclined towards Krishna consciousness, and as soon as he sees the Krishna conscious person, he offers obeisances. India has many sacred rivers, such as the Ganges, Yamuna, Narmada, Kavali, and Krishna, and simply by bathing in these rivers, people are liberated and become Krishna conscious. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore says, Bharata Brumite Hoila Manusha Janma Dhyar Janma Sartaka Karikara Para Upakar. Adi Leela 941. One who has taken birth in the land of Bharata Bhumi, India, should take full advantage of his birth. He should become completely well versed in the knowledge of the Vedas and spiritual culture and should distribute the experience of Krishna consciousness all over the world. People all over the world are madly engaging in sense gratification, and in this way, spoiling their human lives with the risk that in the next life they may become animals or less. Human society should be saved from such a risky civilization and the danger of animalism by awakening to Krishna consciousness, God consciousness, Krishna consciousness. The Krishna conscious movement has been started for this purpose. Therefore, unbiased men of the highest echelon should study the principles of the Krishna conscious movement and fully cooperate with this movement to save human society. So it's interesting, Prabhupada says that people who are born in India are naturally God conscious. So why is it that we see so many people born in India who are acting like rascals? It's an interesting question. Well, because, as Prabhupada said, there's an interesting explanation to that, is that people from India, if they're not acting in God conscious, they're pretending to be asleep. And that's why Prabhupada said in many instances, it's harder to wake someone up who's pretending to be asleep. Isn't it when you're sleeping, pretending to be asleep, Keshav, and your parents say, get up. But if someone is actually asleep, you give them a sharp noise, they wake up, hopefully. Wake up, no? Chanaka Pandit says we should sleep like a dog. What does that mean?
No. I like my deep sleep.
Nala's awake like that.
Yeah,
If
like
she
that.
hears anything, if anyone's walking,
Jumps up immediately.
Yes.
That's how a devotee should sleep.
One eye open.
Not one eye open, but
Once I'm asleep, I'm
that's all right. But at least when you get older, you should sleep like a dog, be alert to Krishna consciousness.
I'm still kidding.
All right, you got some time. So basically, I've seen that in dealing with people from India. And Fiji's a different thing. You're not born in India, so it doesn't count. So, but people who are actually born in India, they actually have this natural Krishna consciousness. It's like telling them about Krishna. You can see behind their eyes, they're just thinking, how do I get out of this? I don't want to surrender to Krishna, I'm trying to be materialistic. So it's like in denial of what they actually know. It's really interesting. And so Prabhupada said people in the West are actually asleep or actually in illusion. So that's why we find so many people in India who are not Krishna conscious. But they actually are. And Prabhupada said just scratch underneath the surface, just a little bit underneath the surface, and then you'll find Krishna consciousness. It's true. That's true. That's why we have so many temples in India right now. Temples and so many devotees. I mean, I was just watching, I think it was yesterday, watching some videos from Baroda. Some of my disciples, they go around the world, go around India, and they take videos of these different places. So he's going around Gujarat. One of my disciples is going around Gujarat, and he's taking videos of the different temples, and it's just like amazing. Carved marble temples all over, even in like really small places in India. And here, you're just struggling to have one other temple. You have one temple in North Sydney, which is just like a converted, was a funeral home before. But anyway, just one little place, and everybody just crowded in. And just to have a festival, you have to put a marquee in the parking lot. And then another temple, you're just struggling. So in India, it's just like, phew. I remember just a few years ago, that was about 3 or 4 years ago, we went and had a GBC meeting in Kanpur. And it was a magnificent, beautiful marble temple in Kanpur. And Kanpur is a major city, industrial city in India. So it's a fact. I mean, yes, preaching or sharing Krishna consciousness with people from India is actually easier. And with Western people, sometimes it's like really just waking them up, and they just keep falling back asleep. You understand? Just wake them up. Okay, wake up. So you really got to keep tabs with them. Are you awake? Did you wake up this morning? No. Anyway, and also people from India generally need less sleep than people from the West, because it's just the nature of the different bodies. There's different types of bodies, except for Keshav. But he's not from India, so it doesn't matter. All right, so let's take some questions. We got up to text 98. Tomorrow we'll do 99. So let's see. Let's unmute everybody. Okay, let me just wait a second. Okay, we have one question here from Keshav. Okay. Let me put you on the screen. Okay. What's the question?
So you were talking about abortion. My question is, what about in extreme circumstances? So like in a rape situation, would abortion be alright then, or would it still not be acceptable?
I think the only extreme circumstance where it would be acceptable would be as if the mother's life is in danger. Obviously, if she's going to keep the child, and she'll die, and the child will die too. So at that point, you got to extenuating circumstances. I know it's for many people it's a very harsh thing like that.
So what would you recommend in a rape situation?
Give the baby away. I mean, it's hard for the mother too, to give a baby away, isn't it? I don't know. I've never been a mother, so no. But, I mean, we got to have a little compassion for people. We can't just go around condemning people for doing things. But the main thing is there are extenuating circumstances, and the main thing is that that the body belongs to Krishna, and it's not ours. The whole pro-abortion thing is based on the assumption that the body belongs. It's my body. I can do anything I want with it. So but people people even disfigure their bodies. Not even talking about abortion. I've seen people put tattoos from head to foot on their bodies. You ever seen that? And it's just like, just treat the body nicely. Always, holes in the body, tongue rings. We had a devotee who joined the movement. She had a tongue ring, and I said, "How do you eat spaghetti?" Can you imagine, like? So anyway, the principle is, there can always be extenuating circumstances, but the principle is the body belongs to Krishna, and you got to do what's best. Even oh my God, there was an abortion suggested in the Mahabharata, isn't it? Duryodhana. So that was so in certain that what did Krishna want, or what was the proper thing? And Vidura, who was a Mahajan, was suggesting it. And that's actually infanticide. That's really heavy, isn't it? Get rid of this kid. He's going to destroy the whole dynasty. And of course, Dhritarashtra was not able to do it. So I said, you have certain rules, but there's always extenuating circumstances. So we have to be careful about, having people out about different rules. Because, Krishna understands that there's extenuating circumstances. Of course, those don't give one an excuse to do any damn thing. For example, we're not supposed to take intoxication, right? But if you have some terminal disease like cancer, and you take some THC or something like that, I don't know if it's allowed here.
It is.
It is.
It has to be prescribed.
Yeah, it's prescribed. So if you take some THC, if I take THC, it's against the principles. Because it'd be pretty ecstatic. But anyway, it's against the principles. But if someone has terminal cancer and they're in extreme pain, and it's the only thing, it's better than morphine. So the same substance, in one case, is actually a positive thing, in the other case, it's actually against the rules. So you have to be really careful about just giving blanket statements about things. And Krishna is very compassionate. Oh yeah. Well, Indra, there's another one. Someone says, Indra wanted to abort Prahlad.
Yes.
Yeah, that's another one. Well, that was not proper because Prahlad was a great devotee of the Lord. Actually, he was going to wait until Prahlad was born. He wanted to take Kayadu and wait till Prahlad was born and then kill the kid. So that's infanticide, which is the same thing as abortion anyway. So infanticide. So I can't justify that. Yeah. Indra wanted to, here's another one. We're getting messages about abortions here. Indra entered his aunt's womb, Diti's womb, to kill her embryo. You know this story? In the Bhagavatam, he entered his aunt's womb, and because his aunt was going to give birth to someone who was his enemy, and he sliced the embryo into 7 parts, and they all remained alive. And then he sliced those 7, here's a mathematical question for you all. 7 times 7.
49.
Wow! He answered before any of you adults are. It's brilliant. So then there were 49 kids inside the mother. And they were all born, they were called the Maruts. Yeah, that's actually true. Thank you for reminding me about that. There are instances of abortions.
Duryodhana tried to get rid of
What's that?
3 of them tried to get rid of Ashwatthama. No, you know
Parikshit
Ashwatthama,
Maharaj.
Parikshit Maharaj.
Parikshit, oh yeah. That was Ashwatthama tried to get rid of Parikshit Maharaj in the womb. So there's another instance of an abortion. Actually, never thought about all the examples of abortion in the Vedic literature. All right, who else has a question? Yeah.
Alright, so on the suicide topic now.
Okay.
With suicide, so suicide is technically the taking of your own life. Did Pitama Bhishma technically not commit suicide because he chose to take his own life away?
Bhishma committed suicide?
Because suicide is technically choosing to take your own life, and
Oh.
since he got
No. Because he could die at will, you know.
Yeah.
He could die at will. No, that's different because he was completely incapacitated. Completely incapacitated. And there is a type of leaving the body that's allowed for Vaishnavas, that if you're completely incapacitated and have some terminal illness, and certainly having a bunch of arrows in your body is pretty terminal, then you can fast till death.
So
And you can give up your body through your yogic powers.
would euthanasia be okay?
No. No, euthanasia is not all right. But if you're a yogi, yeah, that's the time when it's permitted. You can give up your body, come out through the Brahma Randra on the top of your skull. So he was like a yogi. And also his body was finished. It's described there were so many arrows in his body, you couldn't put a finger between the arrows. He wasn't in pain. Krishna actually came and relieved him of his pain. So that's how he was able to speak. I mean, if someone asked me to speak with arrows in my body, or 1 arrow in my body, or even a toothache, I'd say, can't speak today. Isn't it? Even a little pain, I don't think I'd be able to give class. I mean, a little pain, but not like a heavy toothache or something. Can you imagine arrows stuck all over your body? Oh my God. Okay. Anyone online want to ask a question? No? No one online wants to ask a question.
There's one here, Gurudev.
Yeah, okay, we got another question here.
Keshav to Keshav, Gurudev.
All right, Keshav to Keshav.
So Gurudev, you actually explained that in the book, and you also mentioned in the podcast that stop labeling people, but
Yeah.
you explained that some practical tips you can give us on how can we adjust the mindset so that we don't label people, rather we look at the processes and the things they do, Gurudev.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Let me change my camera because I wanted people to see you. Whoops. Hold on a second, I just got a message from Microsoft.
They also listening.
What?
They're also listening in
Yeah. Yeah. So to think in terms of process instead of static. In other words, avoid the verb to be. He is, you are, she is. That's it. You know the verb to be?
Yeah.
That's a very static verb. You are a rascal. Instead, you could say, you're acting like a rascal. So, I think if you avoid that particular verb, as I mentioned in my seminar, that there's certain languages that are process languages where they don't have the verb to be, and all they can deal with is processes. You are hurting yourself, not you're a jerk. You're acting in such a way that's counterproductive to your Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, you'd say, you're a rascal, you're a demon. I mean, it's interesting how many pejorative or negative words we have when we apply them to devotees or even to non-devotees. So we should just see that, and that way we can be truly compassionate. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. Yes.
So here, let me answer. There's some more questions. Sometimes animals are put to sleep if they are too sick. Prabhupada didn't like that. Actually, in the UK, they took some of our cows away because they were too old, and they killed them. And Prabhupada didn't like that. You know, Prabhupada didn't like any sort of euthanasia. You know, if someone's meant to have sort of a painful death, I mean, you could give it. Why not give them just some pain relief then? Right? I mean, they have animals have pain relief, and let them die hearing the holy name. This whole, in certain countries, you're forced to put the animal to sleep. I don't know if it's like that here.
Yeah,
Like if the veterinarian sees that
they call it
humane law. That's crazy. I mean, it'd be like, are we forced to kill someone who's sick? No. Someone who's old, you're too old, Maharaj. I'm going to put you to sleep. No. They're going to put me to sleep. I mean, it appears to be cruel, so give them pain relief. You know, give that to dogs and chant Hare Krishna. Or the animals. I mean, you're ending their life in an untimely fashion.
What happens in this situation, Gurudev, if they meet an untimely death because somebody's put them down?
Then they have to work out some more of their karma, because dogs are working out karma in the next life. Here's another question. If one gets instructions to sleep longer hours, then in the presence, should the instruction be served? Then in the presence of Guru Maharaj, should the instruction be served? I mean, you probably all can guess who's asking the question. Oh, actually, you can see. Don't look at the internet. Yeah. If one gets it depends on who gives the instruction. If the Guru Maharaj gives the instruction because you look like a scarecrow, and your eyes are just like so swollen, you know, and you're just getting in an accident every 2 or 3 days in your car, then you better sleep more. Or, you know, especially nowadays, because of COVID, if one gets too little sleep, it depletes the immune system. So one has to be very much prepared to deal with COVID. Okay.
Gurudev, just on that, what would you recommend is a reasonable amount of sleep? No, seriously, just because, you know, some people are doing 2 hours of sleep a day, and it's not possible that, you know.
Reasonable is individual. What'd you say? No?
I think for adults, the recommended time is about 8 hours.
He's right.
Yeah, that's what I've read.
He's right. Boy,
I subscribe to that.
but how come he knows so much?
We get
Lectures about sleep.
Yeah.
Too many times.
He doesn't sleep at school.
Now for adults, it's and what about for children?
I think
6 to 8
like 9 to 10.
9 to 10. So
For children, it's dependent on age.
depending on age, yeah. And I would say you have to see what's practical. I mean, these are general points, but I've seen certain people who can get by, like Prabhupada, you know, in 3 hours, and other people may need 8 or 9 hours, and it also depends on your job. Like Prabhupada said, anybody who's driving a car should get 8 hours a night, because we had a lot of accidents of devotees falling asleep. So there's different types of bodies. I mean, generally, yes, it's true. 8 hours is the proper amount. That's a general statement. But there are individual cases. And just have to deal with that. So, I think we should end now. It's time. I have to do my deity worship. All glory is to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you all for joining us. All glory is to Srila Prabhupada, Ki Jai.